Hello my crafty peeps, it's Cheyenne from ecdesignstudios.com. This is my first official video in my new art space. It's as organized as it's going to get right now until, I get the walls painted and everything, but it's wonderful to be here. Alright, so for today's Thankful Thursday, we're going to be making this card here. It's featuring the Paisleys and Posies stamp set. So we're going to use the I thank you for your part in my journey. I'm going to be using this little flower, this smaller leaf, and the big fancy Paisley from this set. I love the Paisleys and Posies stamp set. Do not regret buying it all. I need to use the dies that came with it because I got the bundle more. Got to experiment with that. Alright, we're also going to be using the hardwood background stamp. This is great for adding a little bit of extra texture to your cards without going over the top. Alright, we're going to need our Project Life corner rounder. Put that aside. In colors is Basic Black Archival, Calypso Coral, and Crumb Cake. And you are also going to need some little pieces of craft sponge. So just two. I just cut mine up into pieces like this, whatever you're comfortable working with. I'm going to need our Versamark ink pad, our Stampin' Up gold embossing powder, our embossing buddy. That's very important. I also have a spare acrylic block. This is actually from Paper Pumpkin. I find it's nice when I'm working with the blender pens. So, pen colors. These are the 2015 to 2017 in color set. So we've got Watermelon Wonder, Mint Macaroon, Delightful Dijon, Tip Top Taupe, and Cucumber Crush. So, been trying to get better at using collections for you guys, because I know not everyone is wanting to buy the mini Marvelous marker set, though I do highly recommend it. I think it's a wonderful purchase. And just so you know, if you have the re-inkers, the ink refills for your stamp pads, you can refill these. There'll be a tutorial on that at some point in time. Next step, we're also going to need the blender pen and the gold Wink of Stella. Alright, so first up, now I kind of cheated a little bit. I went ahead and embossed the I thank you for your part in my journey. This is shimmer white cardstock, and it is cut at 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. So I just swiped some embossing buddy, stamped in Versamark, sprinkled on the gold embossing powders, you knocked off the excess, used my heat tool to melt the powder, and you get this wonderful little bling bling. Alright, gonna need a piece of Calypso Coral. This is 4 by 5 inches, and a piece of Crumb Cake, which is cut 8.5 by 11 sheet, cut at 4 1/4 and scored at 5.5, and that'll give you a top fold card. You're also going to need a little bit of the Mint Macaron ribbon. You can get this in a trio in the holiday catalog. Highly recommend it. Alright, let's get to it. We're going to stamp on the shimmer white first. Now, I selected shimmer white because I knew I was going to use the blender pen or watercolor. Wasn't quite sure which at the time, but I didn't want the paper to pill up or anything like that. So let me zoom you in a little bit. Alright, now we're just going to take our stamps and we're just going to make our own designer series paper. You've done this with me before. I'm using the Basic Black Archival too because I don't want anything to run while I'm using the blender pens and watercoloring and all of that. Alright, so that's it for our stamping. So we're going to put all of that aside. I'm going to set this aside. Make sure that archival ink really has some time to dry. Now, let's work on our piece of crumb cake. Alright, so what we're going to do is take our hardwood stamp, zoom you out a little bit, and we're going to ink it up with crumb cake. Now with the big background stamps, I don't mount them onto an acrylic block. I just keep them on my work surface, and then I will take the paper to the stamp. Alright, so get that good and inked up. You're going to need a piece of scrap paper. Well, I recommend a piece of scrap paper. Going to gently place it on. Now I take the piece of scrap paper and I put it over the top, so I feel better about like really rubbing with that when I know that I'm not going to get ink everywhere. Aside, and there we have our nice image. So I did the crumb cake on crumb cake. Get this put aside. Alright, let's go ahead and corner round just the top corners. So this is how it's going to open. So I'm just going to take my corner rounder, just at the two top bits. There we go. I'm going to do that on all of them. When using your punches, I also recommend you use them upside down so you can really see where the paper is going, because it may feel like it's lined up, but it not always is. Alright, pop that back up there. So now let's do some inking on the edges. So let's take our crumb cake, and we're just going to get some crumb cake onto one of those sponge round pieces, and we're just going to lightly ink around the edges just to give a little extra depth to it. You don't have to go too crazy, it's just a little bit of shading. And a little bit of shading goes a long way. And contouring is so big in makeup right now. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. We're giving our card a nice little contour. And I guess with the gold, we're going to give it a pop of highlight too. Alright, now we're going to do the exact same thing with the Calypso Coral. This is one of my favorite Stampin' Up colors. Like, I just think it's like that perfect orange shade. It's kind of pinky, kind of cool toned. I love that in my oranges. That is that. Alright, the next step is going to be the coloring. I'll start it off and I'll show you like what I opted to do, and I'm going to be speeding it up a lot through here. So, we've got our colors. Now inside these Paisleys, I opted to use the markers at full strength, but the flowers and leaves outside, I did them softer with the blender pen. So how you do that, start out with your lightest color. So this is the Mint Macaron. Color it onto your acrylic block, and then pick some up on the blender pen, and you're just going to color in your leaves. And you're just going to keep doing that until this is all done. Alright, that's it for the Mint Macaron. So to clean off this, you're just going to take and squiggle it onto scrap paper until it runs clear. You might get some staining on the tip. Don't worry about that. As long as it's running clear, you're good. Alright, so I've got some cucumber crush on the acrylic block. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to pick it up on the blender pen. I'm going to try to think, alright, where's the shadows on these leaves going to be? So I'll start out there, and I kind of do like little round motions, like little teeny tiny circles. Alright, so that is it for the leaves. See, it gives them just a little bit of dimension. Alright, let's get these cleaned off. Alright, now we're going to take our Watermelon Wonder. This is a gorgeous color. It's so sad that it's going to be retiring soon. Oh, alright, we're going to do the same thing. Pick some up on our blender pen, and we're just going to color in the leaves. I'm starting kind of towards the center and then pulling the color out a little bit. That's what's nice about the blender pens. When you first start coloring, you know, it's full of that color, but as you're pulling it out, it's getting lighter and lighter. This is a great way to get like a watercolor ombre effect. Alright, so that is it for our Watermelon Wonder. So I did a initial coat, and then I went back in just around the centers to get it a little deeper around the center. Alright, that's it for our blender pen. We're not using it anymore, so I'm going to set that aside. And now we're going to take our Delightful Dijon, and we're just going to color in the centers of these flowers, and then the background of the background will be done. Then we'll move on to the full strength coloring inside here. Alright, since I have the Delightful Dijon, I'm going to get my brush tip out. So with this, I opted to color just the spikes of this sun thing in the center. So I colored in just that. And then I also did this little outside edge on the little lotus flower for the Watermelon Wonder. I did this checkerboard pattern thing, the stripes. Alright, so that is everything all colored. I gave the Wink of Stella a little bit of time to kind of set into the paper and dry. Alright, next step, you need 2 pieces of just regular old tape. And we're going to wrap our mint macaron ribbon right around the bottom here. And we're just going to tape it onto the back. Super simple, super easy. Now with the coloring, this is just what I chose. You can color it however you want to. You essentially just made your own coloring page. So use whatever markers that you have on hand. I mean, if you like the 2015 to 2017 in colors, best grab them, stock up, as they're not going to be available after, I believe, June 1st. So if you like them, get them on that wish list. Alright, so got some dimensionals on the back of the Shimmer White cardstock. The Shimmer White is nice too because it adds just a hint, just a little shimmer. And then we're just going to pop that right on like so, and then we're going to take, oh, there it is, I lost my snail. Let's take some snail adhesive, pop it on, and we're going to put it onto our card front. And then we are done. So the longest part of this entire card was coloring it in. And you know what? Coloring therapy is a good thing. You know, stamp a whole bunch of these ahead of time. If your kids are into sports, go ahead and take these along and color them while they're at practice. Probably not games. They might get a little offended if you're coloring while they're, you know, playing their big game. So, alright, that is it for today's card. Super nice. You know, Thanksgiving's coming up. Thank your hostess for hosting Thanksgiving. And there's a lot of other occasions too. You know, if you're going to any sort of party, thank your hostess. Alright, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you like what you saw, please remember to like and subscribe. There will be a full list of products on the coordinating blog post. The link to that is in the description bar below. Go ahead over and check out my blog, my website. There's a lot of fun things. You'll get some extra pictures over there and maybe some additional information. I try to keep you posted on any sort of sales or promotions that Stampin' Up! Has going on at the time. So head on over. It's okay. I like visitors. I like comments. You know, and it's nice to know that you guys like me enough to subscribe. So thank you for that too. Oh, enough of my little tangent. Thank you again. Happy crafting. Bye.